All right. Well, welcome everybody to Monday Morning Call with Paul. I have one of my favorite guests of all time by a long shot, Juan Franco, $1 million producer, Hall of Fame producer, number one in 2022 for IULs, second place this time. Kashadi kind of just beat him out, just edged him out, but he's not going to let it happen this year. Juan, thank you so much for coming on board. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
One of the things I like to always start off with every one of our guests is kind of talking about where you come from, where you were born, how late was it before you got into the game of insurance? Because we try to show that anybody can do this. It doesn't matter where you come from or what you did before, that it just takes a lot of hard work and dedication, and you could get to any level in this business. So with that being said, Juan, where were you raised and what kind of jobs did you do before this?
Okay, so yeah, I came in at the age of 19 from South America, Colombia, South America. And then I basically came in with no English when I arrived at this country. So I went to school in Mississippi, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. So when people ask me, where is your accent from? I said, Mississippi. That's where my English accent is from. My Spanish accent is from Colombia. So yeah.
So after college, what did you end up doing for work?
So I graduated from the university, an MBA, and then I basically, while I was in college, I started selling books door to door. So that was my first job in sales, and I learned my way to sell door to door was one of the best ways to learn how to do this, and I basically did it for 8 summers. So I built up an organization, quite a good size. Wow. I basically sold a lot of books, and I paid my way to school. I was one of the rich kids on campus by the end of those 8 summers. Then after that, I started fundraising with the schools. I basically used to help out schools raise money. So if you ever bought cookie dough, it probably was from a company like mine. So if you were in Texas, you probably bought cookie dough from my company at the time. And then so we were selling a lot of cookie dough, and then but COVID happened, and that's when I basically stopped. The schools were closed, all the things, and I started.
Oh wow!
Yeah, at the age of 57,
So your business got caught up in the COVID situation, yeah. And then you had to pivot to something else real quick.
Right. So at the age of 57, I was looking for a new career. So I really didn't think that I was ever gonna be doing anything different than fundraising. I was making comfortable about $200,000 a year. So it was kind of like, it was good, but it wasn't like, it was I mean, it was hard to make like more than 250 or 300 out there. Yeah. It was very, and I found out about FFL, and I joined in 2020, July 2020. That's when I joined. Wow. And it was kind of like, I thought it was going to be a part-time gig for sure, because I have a good sized business on the fundraising. So I said, maybe it's until my fundraising business starts, I will do this. And by December of 2020, I said, I'll forget about fundraising. I'm going full load of this. I can make some good money here. Yeah.
At what point did you start going from like final expense, mortgage protection, these types of things into more IULs?
So I learned about mortgage protection, and mortgage protection was great. I started kind of doing little by little. It was kind of hard in the beginning, transitioning. And then so that's when I found the first things about IUL. I started doing the IULE from Mutual of Omaha. And then so it was kind of like, I like to do that for my mortgages, because it was a great way to give them everything they needed. And then so that was my first encounter with an IUL. I think the first time that I was introduced to a real IUL was with one of my colleagues, basically in my team. He came from another IMO, and then he was kind of like, I started telling him I'm doing IULE. I says, yeah, I have IULs for my family. I said, yeah, that's cool. So why you have it on the kids? I said, you got kids IUL? I said, yes, let me show you. Then he showed me the first IUL from National Life Group, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. You mean you can become a millionaire if you start a kid with $100? I'm like, whoa, that's amazing. And all these things are all like, okay, I need to get into this business. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So it sounds like you were doing mortgage protection leads, but you're selling more like Americo, 100% return of premium, those types of things maybe, and then you
Mhm.
switch to IULs. And I'm guessing the reason you kind of switch is they have the opportunity of getting the money back faster a lot of times, or continuing to let it grow. Would that be correct, or what other reasons why?
Pretty much the IUL was a better choice for that I saw for people to pay less money than the cashback option. It gives them the opportunity for them to keep the policy in place. So it was a permanent policy. But I saw kind of that I was not gonna get like on finance expense and mortgage protection, you get a lot of sometimes chargebacks. So when you get chargeback, you're trying to avoid that at all costs. And then if you have somebody coming behind you and then they find a cheaper price, they sometimes beat you up on the price. And I was like, but on an
Yeah.
IUL, there was no way that they can beat me on the price. So it was kind of like I actually wrote over people that other competitors that were writing higher things, and then so it was good. So I said, this is cool. I like it.
And we have a few new people here that are thinking about getting into the business. So if you could put it into some short words of what an actual IUL is.
This is a savings account with steroids. Basically, you have a savings account that grows much faster than a bank. But then the rich people attach a life insurance policy to it, so they get tax-free growth on their money. And that's pretty much an IUL is basically you have two buckets. You have the life insurance bucket, and then you have the cash insurance bucket. So you can make it however you want. You can make the bucket for the life insurance real small, as long as the IRS allows that. Then you leave the minimum, and then you can grow your money real quickly. Or you can make it more protection focused for somebody that's looking for mortgage protection. Then you can put a lot of money into protection and less money on the growth. But then it's still a lot cheaper than a whole life or a cashback option. And then so you can do magnificent things with those tools because you can vary, and it's a flexible payment. So people can flex their payment. Like most of the time when you sell a policy, they're stuck with that monthly payment every month. Here they can flex, they can put more money, things like that. So it's a very, very good vehicle for people to have.
A lot of people wondering, how is Juan writing $1 million in a year, right? Like, I'm sure that's going through my mind. I'm sure it's going through everybody here's mind, right? And I think you kind of touched on it, was the amount of appointments you're setting. Is that correct?
I think activity is what makes people successful in this business. Like if you're running 30 appointments a week, there's no way for you to fail. If you run 30 appointments every single week consistently, you will basically become a top producer. There's no way I would say that people are running 30 appointments that are not going to hit Hall of Fame. There's no way. One of the things that I noticed that your organization have a lot of fun. So if you put the activity, the fun, there's no way that people cannot do very well here.
Well, let's kind of jump into the sit, right? So let's say you have a client, whether it's mortgage protection or just somebody interested in IULs, right? How do you go through your script or whatever it is you're saying to break down one, what their needs are and which company you're going to choose, probably for the IUL and why you choose them? What are the things you look for?
So I buy IUL leads. So it's kind of like they're already looking for what I have. I like those leads, and then I'll buy them and call them and say, hey, you requested that information about the IULs, how to become your own bank or compound interest. Remember that? Yeah. Hey, I'm not calling you to get into this right now. I'm calling you to set up an appointment via Zoom. It takes me about 30, 40 minutes. What is the best time, morning, afternoons, or evenings? And then I set up. The reason I set up for Zoom is because if you're doing an IUL, it will be different. You want to show basically the money growing and so forth. So I don't recommend doing telesales on an IUL, a true IUL. On mortgage protection is okay. I have the introduction, my approach, asking questions. If you don't ask questions, you have no idea. And a lot of people that are new, the main error they make in sales, they basically go from hey, how are you doing, to let me show you what this is. And then so they jump from there without asking questions. And then so you don't have no idea what you're targeting, because the person is ready to tell you, hey, I want to be my own bank. I'm broke, or I got I got $1 million that I need to grow my money. So you don't know what this type of person until you ask them the questions. And then when they ask them the questions, they say, oh, this person is like da 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 da. And then now you know what to present. And then I basically have my presentation. And then when I close, basically 80% of the people are gonna go with it, you know.
Is there specific carriers that you generally write more of, and because you like their products more? If so, who are they and why?
I do write pretty much everybody on National Life Group on my IULs, and then the reason is because they go up to $3 million, non-medical. They're basically very good at approval. They have the best technology. They have an app that they can communicate with. They have they're a mutual company, so policyholders like me are owners of the company, so they watch after the owners, which is the best interest for the policyholders. And they're a 175-year-old company, so it's kind of like, and they're the easiest illustration that you can present that it sells itself. So I like them. They don't have the best commission per se, but I don't look at that. I don't look at like who pays the highest. Is how much money can I make? If I'm making $20,000 a week, I'm fine with that. I don't care who pays it. You know, this is basically entering my pocket. I don't care if you pay me 80% or 70%. You know.
So for people that are just learning how to write an IUL, things like that, what things should they be very aware of that they don't make a mistake on when doing an illustration?
So when if somebody is doing trying to grow their money, which is one of the main things that people are looking for an IUL, especially if they see the advertisements that they're talking about replacing a 401k or growing their money tax free or being their own bank. So what you want to do is explain to them that there's choices for them to make. And I say there's the minimum death benefit and maximum cash value is the best way to set up for you to grow your money. And I show them and I say there's option A and option B. And option A is a level plan and an option B is an increasing. So and I show them both and I say, which one of these two do you think works best for you? And then they usually pick B if they're younger, they pick A if they're worried about dying soon. And then so I tell them, I say, that's a good choice, whatever they choose. And then so I say, okay, that sounds good. And then once they choose that, then I show them basically my illustration. I show them how the money grows. I show them how they become their own bank and so forth, how they can borrow money. How do you determine the premium? That's very important because a lot of people, they're used to selling mortgage protection, final expense, and things like that. So you don't determine premium on that. You're trying to sell the cheapest way on how much they need. So, or if you say, what's your budget? You know, that's one of the questions that I used to ask when I was in final expense or mortgage. What's your budget? Or I will work up a budget and I'll fill out, you know, most people will put about 10% on what you have left over. So if you have 2,000, I would say $200 will be kind of like your budget towards something like this. That's okay. Yeah, let me go shop around for you. Now, in this case, I will say, I'll ask them, now most people are going to be putting monthly towards this and contributing towards their retirement. So it's all about your budget. And some people budgets can be very different. So it's all about you. Some people put $500, some people put 1,000, some people put millions. Now, what would be like your minimum amount that you could put per month and a maximum amount that you could put per month? So I could design it for you. And then so they'll tell me like 500 to 1,000. So I'll design it for 1,000. I show them basically how that will work. And then they see it. And then when I close, I usually say, okay, now I explain how the process works. And then I say, now, if we send it out for approval, is 1,000 okay? Or you think maybe $800 or $500 will be more comfortable for your budget? And then they'll say probably $800 will be okay, or something like that. Or say 1,000 will be fine. I just click on I go and I start my application.
How do you explain loans, withdrawals, and income? And do you illustrate any specific scenarios or just a basic illustration?
I do. The illustration is very much. I try to keep it real simple. So
right.
The problem with a lot of the agencies, they wanna explain everything that they know about, and then some people they know too much, and I think that's the problem. I mean, like this guy Mohan Jari that I'm telling you, he has no idea what he's doing on an IUL. But I taught him how to set it up, and he does it minimum death benefit, maximum cash value. And he's very simple. And when people ask him a question, he probably had no idea what they're talking about, but he basically gets the sale because it's simple. It like simplicity sells. So make sure don't complicate the IUL. The IUL is a very simple product.
How old do you have to be to get an IUL? What's the youngest somebody can be?
2 weeks old.
Same as insurance. Yeah. Any specific training or carrier training video you would recommend?
Yeah, they have an amazing bootcamp. It's free. FFL. I can send it to Paul. Paul send it to you guys. You watch it. It trains you. I'm part of that training on the bootcamp. So it has F&G, if you like F&G. It has National Life Group, which I'm the National Life Group. And then it has Mutual of Omaha, if you like Mutual of Omaha. It has North American, if you like North American. So it's got all the different carriers. So whichever one you want to learn, there's a specialized person that basically they brought us all to Sean Mike's home and we did that in there. And then so it's a very good boot camp, very good training for people that want to learn how to do IULs.
Well, I know your time is short, and so I was going to leave you with just one more question. For those people out there in the world that don't know a lot about IULs or whether an IUL is good for them, what's 3 best benefits why they should look at an IUL over traditional life insurance?
First of all, you have the best of both worlds. You're going to have good coverage. You're going to have cash flow in there. You're going to have something that is going to be meaningful for you. And you can set it up where you are your own agent. You make your commission on it. And at the same time, you can set it up where it actually grows your money like crazy because you don't care about, basically you can set it up in ways that it is even more beneficial for the client. So it's like you're the client and you're the agent. So you basically can set it up pretty well. On the IUL, you have a permanent life insurance. So that's something that is hard to qualify. So for a final expense person, for example, so if I'm selling to a 70-year-old and if I can sell an IUL, I will sell the IUL to that person because they will benefit by paying a lower price than a whole life.
Thanks, Juan. Again, you know how much I really appreciate you coming here. Man, it's awesome that you came by and imparted your knowledge with the team. Is it okay if I?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram. I need more Instagram followers.
All right.
I got a bunch of followers on Facebook, but I don't have. Instagram is Solid Financial Plan.
Well, we're gonna help you. We're gonna send everybody your way. Okay. Don't you worry about it. Again, thanks again, Juan. Appreciate you.